Welcome to the Founder's Arms. This is the space where we pull back the curtain on the founder's journey. Whether you're scaling a startup, navigating a pivot, or just starting to build, consider this your seat at the table. Here we go over the wins, the losses, and everything in between with the people who are actually doing the work. So grab a drink, get settled, and let's get into it.
Example, if you are Calvin Klein and you're shooting like a big commercial, right? Why not shoot that in the event space that you've got open for a long period of time? And in experiential, like I look at experiential in like, it's interesting because it incorporates pretty much the majority of the creative industry. It's like starting is really hard, almost impossible, but the start is actually easy. Strange time to start something. Like my journey into it was 2019. I'd kind of made the decision that I wanted to do something. I wanted to start something. Then it was like I was gonna go on and do one more job. So it was because the name I chose the name on my birthday in 2019. Okay. I went to an exhibition and it like came out of like being at that exhibition. I was like, yeah, that's a sick name. Like that's the name.
Which is Nobody's Cafe.
Which is Nobody's Cafe, yeah. And it was the exhibition was about different speakeasies and different bars and different events and all of that. So it came out of that. So my career had always been sort of like in this industry. Yeah. So I'd probably been, 2019 was probably about 12, 13 years in that. It was something, so I started events in university really. I tried to do an event when we were in sixth form. It got shut down because not everyone was 18 that was turning up. So that was the first one. But then in uni,
first big issue then.
Yes, first one didn't go well. But no money was lost, so everybody was all fine. So then went into university. Was obviously like student nightclub promotion and stuff like that. Got involved with that. Started a company off the back of that, like graduating uni. That absolutely flopped. It was called 6'5", because it was myself and two other people, and we were both like over 6'5". All three of us were over 6'5", okay. Like all played basketball. Jokes. So we called it 6'5". Yeah. And it went really badly. Like we had no harmony between the three of us, in terms of like running a business. Yeah. We were doing promotions, like we didn't really know what we were trying to do. And I think like it was an interesting lesson, and a lesson that I always try and like stick with. Like our goal was to make money.
Yeah.
And that is a really, really bad goal to have, because there's a million ways to make money. So it's not a defining factor of like, how do you define a brand around making money? So we were doing all of these different things under this sort of like 6'5", like we're doing this type of event, we're doing this type of event, we're doing this type of event. But like in sort of like a promotional like nightclub world, you need to be known for the type of event that you're putting on. You can't be like, we do all these different types of events. So there was like a lot of different student sort of nightclub companies, and they were all sort of like, this is the type we do, this is what we do. And we were emulating all of them, just trying to figure out which one of them would make us money. And the answer was none of them, because we didn't kind of know who we were as a brand. But then I was also doing I started doing my own nights that were a bit more like, this is kind of what I want to be part of. And that started to do well, to be honest. Those did well. Yeah. Then got a job at a experiential company after Executional. I moved to Dubai.
Okay. When was that then in your timeline?
That was 10 years ago. So 2016, because it was 10 years ago in Feb. And So that was very different. That was kind of that shift away from sort of like FMCG sampling into much more like brand experiences. Like the first event that I did was in Nepal. Like what we took influencers or world press, influencers and press to Kathmandu for a 4-day experience where we like had actors come up and like read a script and like it was for PlayStation, so it like really immersed them into kind of like the game and like organized all of that, and like it was just so different from like, cool, we're going to be doing some like sampling campaigns in Sheffield to like I'm now stood on kind of like a cliff top in Kathmandu. So like the shift within like literally I'd gone from doing a Breville sampling campaign in the January to being stood on a cliff in Kathmandu within the space of about 3 months. Jesus. So it was like it was a big shift. It was like but it was also like a shift in my mentality around like I'd been wanting to get towards that sort of like experiential, that type of brand experience, and it had been shifting in my time since starting with my first job out of uni to like where we are now, because that's about an 8-year shift, and like experiential had started to become
a thing.
Yeah, it become more and more of a thing, and like brands were doing it on a bigger and bigger level. And Dubai was like that times 20. Like it was like even now I look at some of the stuff that was happening in 2016 and I don't think the UK market is actually on par to some of the stuff that was happening in 2016 in Dubai. Like, there's loads of influencer trips, there's all of these things.
What's that down to? Is it the size of the production, the quality of the output?
Size of the production, like, a lot of these productions were like, you would be doing an average job and it would be like a big production build. It was funny because we did a big production build a couple of weeks ago. I remember the smell of like the fresh like wood and the build. And I was like, this smells amazing. And it's,
I get the same with spray paint.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's like getting to your site and you're like, there we go.
Yeah, and
we're back.
And it was like that, but it was like that on every single job.
Yeah.
So like,
and is that due to budgets or
it was a mix of things. It was like, it was a bit of ambition because everything in Dubai is pretty big.
Yeah.
And like people wanted to like showcase.
It was space as well, presumably, to do it.
Yeah, the space, but also there's like a little bit of a like also this is 2016 as well. Dubai isn't in a great place at the moment. They're kind of having their COVID 2.0 with everything that's happening with Iran and stuff. So like all the events industry now is like in a bad place right now. But so 2016, there was a little bit of like trying to show the Middle East as a market as well. So for example, that trip that we did to Kathmandu won globally for PlayStation, like best activation. So like now they're like, we need to show that we are like leading the way globally on the activations that we're doing. And so that was what they were trying to do. But other brands were also trying to do a little bit of the same, because it's like at that time you're kind of like taken from like, these are global brands, so PlayStation, Adidas, those type of things. You're taken from your might be head office location to be like, cool, you're going to be in the Middle East region and you're going to run that. And it's the smaller region. Like,
you'd assume it's a smaller region.
Yeah, like, like Saudi wasn't, especially for gaming, it wasn't, but it was for a lot of different stuff like Adidas or like clothing and fashion and stuff. So you're taken into this region and you're like now trying to show out to the rest of the regions. Like, no, we were actually
PR for the areas.
Yeah, exactly. And then also just for the people that work in those companies, like, look what we're doing out here, by the way. So like,
it's almost like a point to prove, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. So when they win an award and they're like, yeah, we did the best activation. They won the award, like it won 2 years in a row because it was still the best activation the next year. So those type of things, like, yeah, they get to showcase like how amazing the region was. Like, but then, so you've got that, you've got the budgets were good, but then also like the materials, manufacture and all of that was cheaper.
Yeah.
So you get a combination of both things there.
Yeah. Bigger
like,
budgets, but less
exactly, it's
cost intensive to execute.
Yeah, exactly. So it's cheaper to make, but you've got bigger budgets, and you're still seeing that. Whereas like if you go to America, bigger budgets, but everything also costs double.
More. Yeah.
So it's like, well, that it kind of outweighs it, so it brings it down. But and also they were investing really heavily in experience.
Okay.
Just it wasn't even just like the budgets. It was like how much they were putting towards experience. Whereas still now you are getting people that are still putting money towards digital and all of these things that aren't really strong. There they were like, no, we're putting it towards experience. Like the event industry makes a lot of money, but events as a marketing tool, we are still below radio, cinema, like all of these other big spends. It's funny because you just naturally think like, why are people spending on TV? Like, why are they doing that? Why are they spending 10 million for a Super Bowl spot? Why are they doing those things? One of the things about Dubai that we don't necessarily have in the UK, they do a bit in some parts of the US, is the weather. So you can build amazing outdoor activations and they're probably not going to get ruined by rain.
Yeah.
I say probably not. Some of them, I did have one that did, because there was a big storm. So like at the festivals, there was always like an activation happening. There was always all of these outdoor festivals. There was always like big brand activations, like similar to sort of like how Coachella is turning into now. Like there was this thing called Soul DXB, which is still there, which was very like sort of
I remember
like,
that when I was at Hypebeast.
Yeah. So yeah, I was going to say it's very like Hypebeast, Tyson Abaiti led. It was like a brand experience festival, and like the builds were incredible, like incredible production level, like just like such a vibe around the whole space. It was brilliant. And then the sun's there. It was fantastic. So I do think weather plays a little bit into it. Budgets, trying to show off. The mentality of the region is to try and show off. The reason they've got like the one where they have the tallest tower, because they're trying to show off. So it just goes around the whole region. So that's why I think they were ahead. I think I look at some of the builds now and I'm like, yeah, they're still probably some of the best builds I've seen. Like I think somewhere I would say that's doing better is China now, and that region. Their builds are incredible. Like Louis Vuitton did an actual cruise liner that they just parked up in the middle of Beijing, I think it was.
And that maybe is a similar thing, right, to Dubai and that in the Middle Eastern region, of that wanting to show off and wanting to be seen.
Yeah, exactly.
A global ambition, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think like materials, labor, and all of those things are cheaper than they are in somewhere like the US, somewhere like the UK and Europe. So it allows for those things. But I had a great time like working in Dubai. Like a lot of the campaigns I got to work on were fantastic. Came home, like was in Dubai, came back, and like I was just talking it through. And while I was home, get an email that someone else has been promoted, and I was just like, I remember saying to my dad,
kicking you while you're down.
Yeah, and I remember saying to my dad, like, yeah, I'm done, and like my dad was like, you know, the type that's like, you need another job before you quit your job. You can never just quit a job without having a job.
Yeah.
And for the first time, he turned around and was like, yeah, just quit. And I was like, all right, well, if you're telling me to just quit, like, and I don't have a job lined up, then yeah, I should just quit. So I've gone back and I've literally just quit on my first day without having a job lined up. And it's something I think about all the time. Like, we're still small, but I think about like the culture of like what happens when you get bigger. Yeah. Because like, I love the founders of that company I was at. Like, I thought they were great. And I thought like the way they acted was like the culture that they believed was in place.
Yeah.
But you get so removed from that, and you kind of hire based a little bit on, right, this is what the company needs. And it's same as going back to the company I'm saying about in Dubai, like you're hiring for what the company needs, but it's really hard to hire for what the culture needs.
Yeah.
When you're hiring from somewhere that's like got the senior, because they've had so much experience somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for them not to bring their culture across. So you see that with companies. So like that company was like, I think they were about 25 years old while I was there. So you had people that had been there a long time, but not many people had been there for 25 years. There was some that had been there like pretty much since it started. But so they sort of had the culture. But like, how do you keep hiring for that when you hire for senior positions? And like, but it's interesting to like, because I think about this a lot, like, and I'm sure you do as well, like that culture, that sort of like that long-term thing.
Yeah. I think, you know what, staffing is like the thing that keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
I think, and also like, I think it works the other way round. Like the people that have worked for me, 2 of them, it's been their only job, really. Worked other bits through uni, but it's their proper only sort of, because they're quite early on in their careers.
So in that early part of your career, it's so much better to learn that than to be like, these people do that. Because the reality is, the people that are in these bigger companies, it is so much harder for them to then go off and do their own thing, realistically, or to like lead another company. It takes a longer time because they're not learning all of these other things. So I think what is difficult is taking on someone that needs the wider team. If you take on people that don't need that wider team and they can kind of like, they can do it, it works well. If you take on someone that does need that wider team, but you can't give them enough, that's where it falls down. And I think I've had that as well, where there's been people that are like,
lean on you too much, and
not even lean on me too much. It's just like, there isn't the space there for you to learn in the way you would at a larger agency. In the same sense, like the learning curve's shallower. So like, it's really steep when you're in a small company, because like, you just don't have time to kind of be like, cool, someone else is going to kind of hide the fact that you don't know what you're doing yet. You're actually like 5 steps ahead of the title you were on in a different company, because there's 4 people to do what that one person would have done before. So have I learned more by being in those smaller companies and not necessarily having as much guardrails and loads of people and loads of processes? Yeah, I've learned loads more. Like, I've learned about production, I've learned about creative, to the point where like those departments that are like, this is our department and you're stepping on our toes. Like, I didn't really understand, like, I didn't even really understand what was going on. I was like, what do you mean? Like, we're all a team.
Yeah.
Like, what you have to do the creative and I can't do the creative. Like, this is like, that just felt alien to me. And I think it felt suffocating as well. It was like we should be all able to kind of like be part of this process. Like, we are all able, but you think about like careers in the past, you think about careers now, and you think about just looking at like a designer, right? And won't go too much into like AI and all that, but even if you just think about a designer over the past 5 years, before AI became the thing it's becoming, Adobe and like InDesign and all these things used to be like a big undertaking. Like, I did film in English. So like, I used to be sat in a room that used to be like, this is the editing room, and here's about 7,000 computers that's going to run a pretty average Avid, and it's going to cost the university like a load of money.
Yeah.
Like, now, like, you can pretty much do on CapCut what I was doing on that Avid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The barrier to entry is like
it's so
shattered.
yeah, it's so low. So like you look at something like Adobe and you look at things like Canva, like there's people that were like, all I do is like learn how to like edit on this, and this is what I do. Whereas like now, a 21-year-old is editing videos to the same level as this person that had spent 5 years learning how to edit. Same with like design, same with Adobe. Like the barrier to like entering Adobe is like, yeah, you've got to pay 40 quid a month to have the whole package. But it used to be like $2,000 to buy the whole thing. I remember
wasn't it?
I remember buying Final Cut Pro, and it was like I had to get a bonus. It cost like 400 quid to buy the whole thing. Like, do you know what I mean?
Photoshop used to be like 250.
Yeah, it was like it was a lot.
You can only buy them individually, couldn't you?
Yeah, so like to do that and then to like whereas now you've got Canva, you've got Adobe Rush, and you've got all of these things that they're like feeding you, and it's like, so I think it's about having an overview of everything, and I think that's the thing. I think that is like there's just so much. It's hard to keep up at a point. Like I was having a go at Sora 2.0 at the weekend, and I was like testing like which one was making the best videos through AI. Sora wasn't actually that good, by the way. It was like, yeah, it was like the worst one. Midjourney did a better version, but anyway. But yeah, so I am always like looking at those things. Like a lot of the stuff, like the website I did, like all the website was me.
You did it yourself?
Yeah. The
What did you do it through?
Squarespace.
Okay.
So the logo I designed through like teaching myself Adobe. So like in COVID, I'd never kind of used InDesign or anything or Illustrator. And I was just like, right, cool. I'm just going to teach myself, and then I'm going to make my own logo, and then just keep on practicing. And like, I'm not as good as some like sick designers, but I can like do quite a lot of design. So those type of things, like I just decided to just do that and learn that. That's how I kind of like built the website. But I'd also had that experience when I was younger, because I'd been helping with the website. That was a WordPress website, but I'd helped with that on my second company. So I had a bit of knowledge. I'd done IT when I was younger, so I'd had a bit of knowledge about stuff like that. So then I'd like done film, so like there was a little bit of like understanding of Adobe, a little bit through Premiere, and photography. I'd done like just taking photos, so there was a bit of understanding about Lightroom. So then I was like, cool. Now just move that into like InDesign. So cool. Designed what the logo was going to be, the original logo for Nobody's Cafe, and it's now shifted just to be what it is now. But all of that I just kind of like learned and did, and I think everybody has those capabilities. Like you might not be the best web designer in the entire planet. I am not the best web designer in the entire planet. I know that for a fact. But can I build a website that's going to start my company and that people are going to land on and be like, yeah, cool?
And also no one can communicate your vision better than you.
Yeah.
Right? So you find that changes then as you, so obviously you started Nobody's Cafe in 2020. Does that change as you go through? Do you start to pick up designers and web builders?
Yeah, like we don't, to be fair, we don't do too much with like, don't do too much web building bits, but designers, 100%. But like, and this is the sort of like way we try to work. And it's easier for me to speak to a designer because I know how to design.
Yeah.
So
yeah, totally.
I can have a conversation and like get to the point quicker and get them to deliver what needs to be delivered quicker because I know what they are doing.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of time, there's like a rub where people are speaking to people and they have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what CMYK is. They have no idea what RGB is. So it's like, cool, like, and there's also a little bit of a standoff between the designer and the person that they know has no idea. So when you go, no, I know exactly what you're doing, then that bit of a barrier, like from the designer's perspective, is like, all right, well, like that's gone now because I know this person knows what's being done. And in experiential, like I look at experiential in like, it's interesting because it incorporates pretty much the majority of the creative industry in one wrapper. So you have the creative to come up with the idea, right? You then have production, which is live production, which is different from like in this podcast room, you call this production in the same way, but it's different. It's site, it's furniture, it's build, it's all of these different, it's murals, it's those different types of production. But then you also need design, because everything, all of these touch points are all designed. So you need to have a bit of an understanding about design. Even with the spatial stuff, there's like the spatial design to make, oh, this looks amazing. The spatial design to be like, this fits in this corner exactly as it should. And this is
functional
a CAD.
To have it built.
And this, you can now build this. Whereas like there's a difference between the like, oh, this looks sick. And this is like, all right, no,
technical
I can actually...
drawing versus a render to go out for press.
Exactly.
And like the client want to see what it's going to look like.
So there's like understanding that. There's understanding those areas of it. There's understanding like the print world and like what GSM do we want to print on and like all of those things. So there's that side of things. And that's sort of like a mix of production and design, right? There's then content. There's then like photography of the event. There's then like filming the event. And I think experiential, like we are not good enough at the content we produce. Like we need to bring in more narrative into the content that is being produced in experiential, not just like the whole industry. Like I think that unlocks another layer of what experiential can be by bringing in that. At the moment, and you'll have seen them, like I call them just case study videos. It's like flash, here I was, flash,
reportage
flash,
of what happened.
Yeah, like here's a video of someone drinking a quick drink and loving their life. Yeah, amazing. Like, but there's no narrative, there's no story in that. And I always say like there are so many stories within an experience, because the definition of an experience is the people that are there. And so every single person has a different story to tell. And the way we do that, like it can be uplifted. Like there's a Mango advert that they had with Alexa Chung, and they like followed her through the day, and like in different outfits, and then right at the end of it, she walks into a pub, and like there was no one in the pub, and she just sits down and like has a conversation. And I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if Mango had done that entire story, and then right at the end, Mango had done an event at this pub, and it had been like an actual event, and like Alexa Chung's walked in, and it's like that is the actual consumer event, and Alexa Chung's there, or press event, or whatever type of event, and she walks in. And so then when you watch the content, you're like, cool. Yeah. Whoa, this was an actual event that she was at, and like other people were at the event, and like
is that symptom of things being done in isolation and too much?
Yeah, it is. It's like we get sometimes we don't even get the content budget. Like we don't, like we try and wrap it into our production budget to be like, we want to get some photography and videography of this.
Oh, we chuck content into everything we do, and whether there's budget for it or not, we sort of either take the hit or we package it up as like an add-on or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So
you want the content no matter what, right? Yeah. Because you want to have that as like, this is what we did.
But we're not getting that digital content budget. We're not getting the TV budget to do that. And I'm like, that is the disjointed element of it. That is because they're coming to a brand experience company for that specific thing, rather than looking at the whole package. And they're not letting us look at the whole package because it's already been resolved. Mm-hmm. But really, for example, if you are Calvin Klein and you're shooting like a big commercial, right? Why not shoot that in the event space that you've got open for a long period of time? So your set becomes an event space. So you shoot that, you then turn it into an actual brand experience that people can get involved with. You then put that advert with Jeremy Allen White or whoever it might be, you put that onto digital, whatever. So now people are like, I was there. Like like, oh, that's where they shot. Oh my God, like I actually experienced like that big TV moment. Yeah. And then suddenly the synergy between like that commercial becomes like there's such a connect.
It's world building, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And like say you were at that and you've got photos and filmed that and blah blah blah, and then that goes out you're like, suddenly you're sharing on your socials, like, oh, like you see him there, like I went there as well. And there's like those connects, and then there's the UGC that comes off that. But it doesn't happen like that. Like the advert's so separate, and then they might do an event that's so separate, and there's the connecting of that. But yeah, just to say, like, in experiential, there's content in there as well.
Yeah.
So like that's always there. PR is always part of what we do as well. Like a lot of the time, either for a PR agency, and like it is part of what they want. And I know you know that very well. Or you are thinking from your side, like getting this in press and inviting press down and all of those things. You then have influencers, which is a huge part of that as well. So like that's a huge part, social talent and influencers. That's a huge part as well. So like most of those things have their own separate agencies.
Yeah.
But an experiential agency looks after all of those separate things as well, and has to think about all of those separate things. So, and some do it to a higher level than others, and some focus like don't work with influencers that much. Some work we're like mainly production. We don't really do many PR events, and so there's different variations of like what that is. But for us, we try and look over every single one of those elements, and some of our campaigns have more of them, some of them have less. But it's about an understanding of all of those things. So,
are you brought in too late to a lot of things?
Sometimes, yeah, but I think like I don't think you'll find many experiential agencies that don't say they're not. Do you know what I mean? Like I think you like, do you know what I mean? You do events like
well, even on the mural side and the painted thing side, it's kind of the decision to do one of those things has been made, and we are involved too late in the chain, I think is what I'm trying to get at.
And I've been in companies and agencies that are 15, 20, 25 years old that are still having that problem. So I think it's hard to get to that point of those decisions being made. And I think it's just, and it takes time. And I think for when you're focused in like an area, which is like artists, events, that type of thing, it's even harder. Like, it's a shift within the companies, because realistically, there's a whole sort of like world built around what sort of like the Mad Men era of the industry created, and that world is like a behemoth. Like it's huge. Like you look at like the revenue of some of like the biggest experiential agencies, then you look at the revenue of something like a WPP, and it's like they're not close. They're nowhere near close. And
it's billions versus millions.
Yeah, it is. So that behemoth has been set up since the 70s and has evolved. Obviously, and digital has become a big part of it. But it's really hard to shift that. Of course. It's really hard to shift that mentality, because most of these agencies, most of these brands are wedded to these agencies already. And the agency that doesn't have a strong experiential team or whatever isn't going to go, do you know what? Let's not do those media spends like you were going to and give us like whatever. Why don't we just give that to an experiential agency and give them the 20 million that you were going to give us? Like, why don't you do that? Because like, I know that that's what every report that you've ever read ever says, that that's what your consumer wants. And I know that. And I know that people aren't really watching adverts in the same way. And I know, I get that. But like, what I'd actually say is like, you probably need to spend more on ads, because they're not working like they used to. Ads don't work as well as they used to. So you need to do double what you used to do. So why don't you spend more money on that, rather than saying, well, like all the reports say that like events and tangible and IRL, like they've been saying that for 10 years, like
to increase spend.
Yeah, to increase spend. Like 83% of people would rather a brand did an experience than an advert. Cool, so we're going to do an advert then. So like those type of things. So it's like, but I think that shift is starting to change. I think there's a digital saturation, 100%. Like that we're all in, and I think like AI is just going to like exponentially grow that digital saturation, because it'll just be like, do I even know this is real? So like those sort of like gaps are going to shift more towards like experiential. But like, I kind of like put it this way as well. It's like, this is how I always look at it. They pay, like as in people pay to avoid adverts, whereas people pay to come to events. So like, and you look at all the wording around like adverts and like digital ads, like block, reject, skip, deny, like, do you know what I mean? Like that's all of the like wording around that. Like if you think of like some of these big streamers, they've got one team, yeah, that are working really, really, really hard to get you to pay to avoid adverts. Like that's their whole model. And they're like, that is the goal. And then you've got another team that's going, cool, we'll take the ad dollars for the people that don't pay, but like really we want them to pay. And like what we're doing is what we're doing,
because the system collapses, right?
Yeah. So what we're actually doing is we're taking your money to annoy our customer so that they pay us more money. Yeah. So we're going to feed them with adverts that we know for a fact they don't want to see. So that they pay us more money. And that is like the advertising world at the moment. But it's like I said, it's like, it's billions versus millions when it comes to like experiential versus those ads. But it's because like that's the system we're in. And I think that again, going back to Mad Men, I always like use this as sort of like that thing of like, if you watch the whole series, there's a point where they're trying to convince people to advertise on TV.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. We've always done print. We're not doing TV. Like, why would we do that? Like, it's not going to take off.
Trying to implement behavior changes.
Yeah.
Really
and
difficult
that's it.
to do.
Yeah. And that's it. And you've got people that are in these companies. You've got CEOs, you've got CMOs, you've got these people that are like, you tell me when we're doing an ad that it's been seen by 10 million people. You don't measure how many of those 10 million people remember it. You just measure how many people saw it. So like the problem that we have is we're measured by that same metric. We are measured, like your mural is measured by like how many people saw it. Your event is measured by how many people went to it. But it's not measured by how many people remember it. Yeah. Because like, if you were to ask anyone, do you remember the advert that you saw this morning on your Instagram? They'd probably be like, no. Like I remember the content from my friends and like maybe I remember the content from some of my friends and maybe there's like an influencer like I follow. So I remember something that they talked about. But like, do you remember the ad that they put in between the stories? Like, no, like I've started to like click out of my stories and then click back onto the next story because it avoids adverts.
To avoid the ad.
Yeah. So it avoids the ads, but you just click out and then you just click onto the next story and then click out and then click on. Because I'm just like, I don't like, no. So do you know what I mean? Like that is what people are doing to avoid this thing. Like I've never done that with an event. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then like say to someone like, remember the first gig you went to? And they'll be like, yeah, of course I do. Like, it was like, it was amazing. And this happened. And like, what, like, and like, how many years ago was that? Oh yeah, it was like 20 years ago. Cool. So that's the memory that an event has. That's the memory an ad has. They're spending
so different.
It's uncomparable. It's just like, but we're measuring
the same.
Yeah, we're measuring the same thing. And I think like the thing with it as well is like part of that is because we're measuring on a short-term basis. Like we need to like the report needs to come out in 2 weeks. Cool. But we need to kind of track back and go like, do you remember that event you went to 6 months ago? Like, so we did a campaign for Trivago just in terms of like how long people remember some of these experiences. And they were the sponsor of Chelsea Football Club. We did some like pitch events. We did like bits like that. We did hospitality moments with influencers and with like competition winners. So like their brand community and things. And still get messages now. Like with the last pitch event that we did was, I think 3 years ago now, like still in a group with like some of the people that went on one of these competitions. Yeah. They still message each other. Like, this is 3 years after. Like, and the logo's still a Trivago, on the WhatsApp group, logo's still a Trivago WhatsApp group. And these guys are still like messaging each other about like the trip and like, hope you're well and like Merry Christmas and stuff like that. Like 3 years later.
Yeah.
That's like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you ever message your friend 3 years about an advert you saw once on your own, like
in his sad WhatsApp group.
Yeah, like it just doesn't happen. And I think like that, it's just hard to measure that. It's hard to measure that 3 years in the future, people are still going to be talking about the event they went to, and it's still going to be linked to your brand, and their loyalty is always going to be like
totally
extreme. Like, that's just so hard to measure. But I think like just that sort of like, they pay to block ads, they pay to go to events, kind of just says it all. And I think that shift is going to move, and where the money moves and those type of things, it'll be interesting. Like I said, it's such a behemoth of an industry to just try and go like, we're going to shift. It takes a lot of people to shift that sort of thing. And but it's definitely growing. I think we weren't doing many events in like January and February, like
traditionally dead months, aren't they?
Yeah,
really?
pretty much. And we
planning for what's to come,
yeah,
rather than
exactly.
actually doing.
So the fact that that's happening, and the fact that I'm speaking to other people and they're like, yeah, we've done 4 events as well, it's like, all right, so it's now becoming a little bit of an always on. And I think that was a little bit different from experiential as well. Like, going back to the Dubai conversation about weather and stuff, it's now becoming a kind of like, we're apart from December, we might be a little bit quieter in those like final weeks, and then August might be quieter unless we're doing something in Europe, and then we might not be quiet. Next month we've got like an event every week. So it's just like, there's just which is amazing. Like and it's like for the agency as well. And it hasn't always been like, it's been such a roller coaster of like running an agency and like doing all of this. It hasn't always been like, yeah, we're just doing an event all the time. And I think that is like, that in itself is probably just like another podcast. You know what I mean? It's like just like that experience of started in 2020. Like, the start is actually quite easy. People think the start is the hard thing, right?
Yeah.
And
did you ever get people going, congratulations?
What,
when you started your business?
Yeah, all the time.
And I was like, for what? I haven't really done anything. I've just made a logo, and like,
all the
you
time.
feel like a fraud, don't you? Because you're like, thanks, and they're like, you're so brave, and I'm like, really?
It's like, starting is really hard, almost impossible, but the start is actually easy. Yeah. So like, that gap between never starting something and starting something, that gap is huge, and like getting over that gap is massive. Like, for me, like in 2019, I'll just take one more job and then I'll do it. And like, like, and like, fate didn't allow that to happen. Like, I got rejected from a job that I was going for on like the second week in February. Week after, got sent home because like we shut the office because of COVID. Week after that, the whole world got shut down, and it was like, if I'd taken that job, I would have been like screwed. Yeah. So didn't do that. Then got made redundant. Like, that pushed me.
Same as me.
Yeah.
Middle of COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, that pushed me into that start. But like, if I'd taken that one more job and everything had gone normal, would I have started Nobody's Cafe? Or would that job have paid me a bit more money and I've gone, do you know what I don't want to do? Lose a bit more money. So that's why that gap between starting and like being at 0 and then starting something is massive. So people do say congratulations, and I get that. But what they don't understand is the start is actually quite easy. And like, I look at this like, because I lost a lot of weight when I was younger, right? So I used to be like 23 stone, and then I lost it in like a year, right? Wow. And to start losing weight is like really hard, because it's so much easier to just carry on eating and not work out. But the start of that is, once you have started, it's actually mint, because everything's new. Everything's like, oh my God, the weight is just falling off. Like, wow, this is amazing. But like, it's once you've done that a little bit, like, then it starts to get hard because it's like, oh, like the weight's not coming off as easy anymore. And it's like, well, yeah, because you don't have as much to lose.
And that links to running a business, doesn't it? I think you get to a point where, I'm sorry if you're going to go on to say this, but it's the maintaining. I think people think that you start a business and you get to like a point, it goes up and it's like, right, I'm there. But it's keeping it afloat. I was watching something with Casey Neistat the other day, and he was like, the hardest thing with all of it, with a founder, someone creating their own thing, or even a creative doing their own thing, it's that kind of like hustle mentality and that gratification piece where it's like, it's perseverance, it's grit. It's actually way more fucking boring than that. It's patience.
Yeah.
And it's keeping its patience, and it's the constant kind of like, and there is no point, like obviously we're both turning 6, our businesses are both turning 6. There's no, I mean, unless you make a big party out of it, there's no big kind of bit you get to. There's maybe a project that kind of solidifies why you've done this, and that's a moment to take gratification. But
you do need to take those moments, though. I do think you do. Like,
it's tough to, though, right? They never come at the right time.
Yeah, but I do, like, even if it is just like reflecting on like your journey and where you've come. If I look back at like creating the logo and doing the website and like launching and being like, oh, here we are, and getting that first client, and those first couple of years, like first client was Prime Video, which we got in January 21. Then a couple of months later, like I get a text message from someone that's at Trivago, and they're like, we were looking to do this campaign. Do you know any agencies that can do it? And I sent a message back saying like, these agencies could do it, but we could probably do it and do it cheaper. Got a response. Can you just do it? Turned into a 3-year retainer.
Amazing.
So you know what I mean? Like the starts, that was just like, that's the start. And that's like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah.
Like what? Like,
come on,
everyone should do this.
Yeah.
But then you lose that retainer end.
Trying to get the next client.
Yeah, the next client. Change in perception. So like we've gone from being like the scrappy agency to being like, oh, we're an award-winning agency now. And so like people would come and be like, cool, where's the 50 staff? And we'd be like, what? Like is still the same people that were there like 6 months earlier. We've just done all of this work now. And so like all of that, and as well, like we didn't even have a deck until 2023. Wow. So like 2020 to 2023, like we didn't even have a deck, and we got a deck. I remember I sent the deck out to the first person who was like about to send us a brief. I sent it and they were like, not sure you're right for what we want. And I was like, I haven't had a deck for 3 years, and I've literally just sent it out and it's died. Yeah. And so
the opposite of what you expect.
Yeah, exactly. We're expecting like, no, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So like,
you guys have a deck now?
Yeah. So like, this is the thing about like that start point, but you do eventually get to a point where you're like, cool, you've plateaued, the perception's changed. And that's why I like link it to like losing weight. Like the perception you has changed, but like you haven't fully like caught up with that perception sometimes. So like I'm when I'm like lost all the weight, I'm no longer that fat guy, but like my mind hasn't caught up to that perception yet.
Yeah.
So when you win an award, you're now the award-winning agency, but the actual processes and everything haven't caught up to what like the perception of your agency is. Yeah. We went to huge company, and they sent them the deck, and they responded going like, this is different company. They responded and said, you're too big for us. I was like,
can't win.
Like what? Like they're huge. And they're like, yeah, we just want a small agency to just help with that. And I'm like, it's literally me and the co-founder. Like, how much smaller do you want? But they were like, no, like you'll definitely be too expensive for us. So again, perception versus like reality, and like you get in this sort of like weird plateau where it's now harder to do what you did before, because like that first win, huge, amazing, felt like hard, but like not as hard as you've, but it's like the next win, and it's like, to your point, maintaining that, and there's boredom around maintaining it as well.
Yeah.
There's
It's
like
not sexy, is it? And
no,
that's what I think a lot of people struggle with, and that is the reality of running a business. It isn't all highlights reel. I know we obviously pepper our LinkedIn with loads of content, but it's not all kind of
100%, mate.
It is
100%.
just, that is the reality of running a business.
Yeah, and it's like there's been times where I've been like, is this even what I want to do?
Yeah.
Like, and I remember I did post about that on LinkedIn, and people were like, oh my God, like having those decisions. But it's like, I actually think that's also what you should do to review your life anyway. Like, you shouldn't just be like, this is what people expect me to do, therefore I should do it. You should review and be like, am I actually happy doing what I do? Like, am I happy going through like the boredom and the stress and all of these things, and when it's not going well? Like, everybody can do stuff when it's going well. Like, anyone can do that. Anyone can run an agency when it's like loads of money's coming in. Like, because there's always ways out when there's loads of money coming in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's always solutions. There's hiring people. There's always things.
Yeah.
Harder
money makes money, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's harder when there's not money coming in. It's harder when like you're getting rejected. It's harder when you're competing against agencies that are 150 people, and you're putting in like all of the work and whatever, and then they're like, we're just going to go with the agency that's 150 people because like, like, but
and the
like,
opportunity cost of even being in the room and pitching, and then
but then and then you like look at their idea and you're like, yeah, but their idea wasn't as good as ours, and it's like, and then it comes down to we just trusted that they'd still be in business, like, and deliver the thing. So, and I think you kind of need to like, I call it runway. It's like, how much runway do you have? How long can you keep going? And it's like, you just need to keep going as long as you possibly can. And eventually, the very start's easy, because it's like, once you've got over the hurdle of starting, that start part's easy, because that's just all fun. That's all like, websites here, amazing. Logos here, amazing. Oh, I'm talking to people about the business, amazing. They're all saying congratulations for just even starting. This is amazing. But then you hit a point where it's like, cool, like I've kind of plateaued, and like people aren't telling me congratulations for starting anymore. There's a perception of you should be here and you're not there. Like, all of these, like, how many people do you have in your team now? And there's like all of these things. So you have to grind that out. And again, you get to a point where people see, I think once you get past 5 years as well, people start to look at you a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I think.
So hang on till then.
Yeah, I think like once you get to that point, people look like you're gonna be around. Like in those first 2 years, and it's that sort of like mentality of like, some of these people are risking their actual careers to work with Lawless, to work with Nobody's Cafe. So like because it's a lot. I think it's an IBM quote or something like, no one gets fired for hiring IBM to do their thing. But the point is like, you don't get fired for hiring the 150 person company to deliver the event, but you might get fired for hiring the 3 person company to do the same event because their idea was better.
Yeah.
But then they don't turn up on the day because they went bankrupt before. So, but once you get past that point, like people are like, cool, like I expect that you're going to be here next year, you're going to be here, and like those things. So I think it's just all of these things about like staying in the game. Yeah, just keep on going. Yeah, realistically, mate, like it isn't always fun and amazing, and sometimes you get whacked in the head by a heat press like I did. But it is about keeping going. It is about consistency. It is boring sometimes, but eventually you kind of like get to those moments. But you do have to celebrate the fun moments as well, because if you don't, then it is all just.
Well, that feels like a nice moment to close on it.
Yeah,
good advice.
No, mate.
Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing your story as a founder.
No, and it's been great chatting, mate. And I think it's good to your point, stay curious and just keep on learning and figuring out, and like working together as well on like, how do we all we all win? Because I think the pie is big enough for everyone. So
let's grab a coffee after this and discuss.
Yeah, definitely, mate. So yeah,
okay, mate, nice one. Good to have you on.
Nice one, mate.
Okay.